We have been lied to since the cradle. Every fairy tale, every school teacher, and every leadership seminar has pushed a singular, dangerous narrative that kindness is the ultimate currency. We are told that if we are good people, if we are soft, if we are forgiving, the world will reward us with loyalty and respect. But look at the wreckage of the lives of nice people. Look at the managers who are ignored by their teams, the parents who are manipulated by their children, and the leaders who are backstabbed by the very people they tried to save. They all share one fatal, tragic flaw: they chose clemency over cruelty. They chose the warmth of being liked over the cold steel of being respected. Today, we are tearing down the curtain. We are looking into the dark heart of power through the eyes of the man who saw the world for what it actually is, not what we wish it to be. Niccolò Machiavelli. In the 17th chapter of The Prince, Machiavelli poses the ultimate question: is it better to be loved than feared, or feared than loved? His answer is a cold bucket of water to the face of modern morality. He says that because men are ungrateful, fickle, pretenders, and greedy, love is a bond that they will break the moment it is no longer convenient. But fear? Fear is maintained by a dread of punishment which never fails. This is the foundation of our journey today. We are going to explore why being strict, what Machiavelli calls well-used cruelty, is the only way to earn a respect that lasts, and why being nice is often a form of hidden cowardice that leads to total disaster. Let's start by defining our terms, because the world has twisted the word cruelty. When we hear of cruel, we think of a villain twirling his mustache. But in the Machiavellian sense, cruelty is simply surgical strictness. It is the willingness to make the hard, painful choice now to prevent a catastrophe later. On the other hand, clemency, or being nice, is often nothing more than emotional laziness. It is the inability to confront a problem because you are too addicted to the approval of others. Machiavelli argues that a leader who is too kind allows disorders to escalate. If you are a manager and you let one person slide on their work because you understand their situation, you aren't being kind. You are being cruel to the high performers who now have to carry the extra weight. You are being cruel to the company that might fail because of low standards. Your kindness is actually a slow-acting poison. Consider the historical case of Cesare Borgia, the man Machiavelli admired most. Borgia took over the Romagna, a region that was lawless, chaotic, and ruled by weak lords who robbed their subjects. Borgia didn't go in with a kindness campaign. He appointed Ramiro de Orco, a man known for being swift and brutal. De Orco cleaned up the streets. He enforced the law with a heavy hand. Within a year, the region was peaceful and unified. Once the job was done, Borgia realized the people hated the harshness of the minister. So, in a masterstroke of political theater, he had de Orco executed and placed in the public square. The people were satisfied and stupefied. Borgia used cruelty to create order, then used a final act of cruelty to wash his hands of the resentment. This is the surgical strike. You use the strictness necessary to establish the frame, and once the frame is established, you can afford to be magnanimous. But if you start with magnanimity, you have no tools left when things go wrong. But there is a warning. Machiavelli says a prince should make himself feared in such a way that, if he does not win love, he avoids hatred. This is the razor's edge. Cruelty without a purpose is just sadism, and sadism leads to hatred. Hatred leads to rebellion. To be strict without being hated, you must be just. Your strictness must be tied to a principle, not a whim. If you punish someone because you're having a bad day, you are a tyrant. If you punish someone because they violated a clearly stated rule that applies to everyone, you are a leader. People will accept a heavy hand as long as it is a fair hand. They will respect a judge who is harsh but consistent. They will despise a judge who is lenient to his friends and harsh to his enemies. This applies to your personal life with equal force. We often think that in friendships or dating, being the sweetest person will get us the most love. It's the opposite. If you have no capacity to be cruel, meaning the capacity to walk away, to say no, to set a harsh boundary, then your kindness has no value. It is just a default setting. Kindness is only meaningful if it is a choice made by a dangerous person. If a tiger is gentle, it's a miracle. If a lamb is gentle, it's just a lamb. To earn respect, you must first show the world that you have teeth. You must show that there is a cost to crossing you. Only then will your moments of clemency be seen as the precious gifts they are. The reason fear is more reliable than love is rooted in the very biology of human nature. Love is a gift. Fear is a debt. When you do someone a favor, they feel a temporary sense of gratitude. But gratitude is a heavy burden. Most people, subconsciously, want to get rid of that burden. They will find reasons to resent you for your kindness so they don't feel like they owe you. But fear? Fear is an external reality. If a soldier knows that desertion means death, he stays in the line. If an employee knows that mediocre work means immediate termination, he produces. This isn't about being a tyrant, it's about being a predictable force. A nice boss is unpredictable because their decisions are based on their current mood or their desire to be liked. A strict boss is perfectly predictable. You know exactly where the line is. And in a world of chaos, humans actually find more comfort in a strict, predictable leader than a nice, erratic one. Let's look at the modern corporate landscape. We've all seen the cool boss. He wants to be your friend. He drinks with the team. He avoids the hard talk. What happens? The team stops respecting him. They start coming in late. They start testing the boundaries. Eventually, the department's numbers drop. The higher-ups come down hard. Now, the cool boss has to fire people to save his own skin. His initial clemency led to the ultimate cruelty, people losing their livelihoods. Now, look at this hard boss. She is cold. She is demanding. She doesn't care if you like her. But her team is the most profitable. Think about the nice guy in a relationship. He agrees with everything. He never gets angry. He is always there. And he is constantly baffled when he is treated like a doormat. Why? Because he has no cruelty. He has no edge. There is no fear of losing him because he's made it clear he'll never leave. There is no respect for his boundaries because he has none. Now, look at the person who is strict with their time and their dignity. If they are disrespected, they turn cold. They pull back. They don't explain, they simply withdraw their presence. That is a form of Machiavellian cruelty. It creates a dread of loss in the other person. That dread is what maintains the respect. The transition from being a nice to being strict is the hardest part of the journey. When you start setting boundaries, people will attack you. They will call you a mean, stuck up, or arrogant. They will try to guilt trip you back into your old, nice self because your old self was easier for them to use. This is where you must hold the line. You must realize that their anger is actually a sign of your growing power. They are reacting to the fact that they can no longer control you. This is the moment you must embrace the silence. Don't explain why you're being strict. Don't apologize for your new standards. Apologizing for a boundary is like a king apologizing for his laws, it invites revolution. Stand in your cruelty. Let them be uncomfortable. Eventually, the noise will die down, and in its place will be a new, quiet respect. Machiavelli's greatest insight was that the good man who tries to be good in a world full of people who are not good will surely come to ruin. This doesn't mean you become a bad person. It means you become a protected person. You develop the armor of strictness so that your inner goodness isn't exploited. You become the commander of your own life. You realize that clemency is a luxury you can only afford once you are at the top. Until then, your job is to build your fortress. As we conclude this deep dive, look at your own life. Where are you being too nice? Where is your clemency causing disorder? Where have you allowed your fear of being the bad guy to make you a weak leader or a weak friend? Stop seeking the cheap high of being liked. It is a drug that leaves you empty. Start seeking the long-term investment of being respected. Be fair, be consistent, but above all, be strict. Let your yes be a rare prize and your no be a final wall. Understand that in the architecture of power, the stones are held together not by the glue of love, but by the pressure of respect. Be the lion who knows when to roar, and the fox who knows when to wait. But never, ever be the lamb who thinks that by being soft, he can convince the wolves not to eat. The path of the Machiavellian is a lonely one at first, but it is the only path that leads to the summit. Embrace the surgical cruelty of excellence. Hold yourself and others to a standard that hurts. Because the pain of discipline is nothing compared to the pain of being ignored. Earn your respect. Build your power. And remember, the world doesn't belong to the nice. It belongs to the ones who are strong enough to be strict.